Welcome back to Texas Traveler RC. It's a beautiful day here in East Texas. I hate not being out here in the garage, so I just had to come out here and get back on the wing. I got in my trailing edge pieces from National Balsa, so I'm going to be gluing those in. I kind of wish in retrospect that I'd done this sheeting, the top trailing edge sheeting, after I put this on. I think it would have made this easier, because for the sake of time and being able to just keep going with this, I'm going to put tight bond on the little rib tips here, and then get this trailing edge piece pinned up against those real tight. And then I'm going to come back with thin CA and go along this seam with thin CA. That way I can go ahead and flip that way I can go ahead and flip the wing over and glue the other side and get the other wing half done. I do have both wing halves in the same state. That way I can go ahead and flip the wing over and both the wings, and then we'll come back, glue the other side, and do the get the other wing half finish done. Up the sheeting. I do have both wing halves in the same state. Put in our extension wires for our wings, for both the wings, and then we'll come back and do the. Right, so now we've got our trailing edge finish up the sheeting. That went pretty smooth. Put in our extension wires for our wing servos. Finishing the bottom sheeting on this wing. I've already cut a piece of 3/32 balsa, and if you notice, it's hanging over on this end, which is fine because I can trim this up and sand it off later. But one of the things that is going to make this tough, or potentially tough, is this center rib right here, which I'd normally just do like thick CA if I was doing a full sheeting or tight bond or something like that, and clamp it down and go from that way. But since I have access from the top, what I'll do is I'll glue the two outside ribs to this sheeting and this sheeting to the leading edge, and then flip it over, and I can get to this rib and hit it with some thin CA and let that glue. But just some tips on this sheeting. Because the way it starts at the leading edge, and it's actually not as thick as what's sticking up the leading edge, that gives you room to sand this down and blend it all in. You definitely want to start your gluing here at the front and then roll this over to the back. That means when I was cutting this, I was doing all my sanding to this side. I cut it just a little bit longer than what I needed, and then I sanded it down until it fit in there just right. One tip I can give, which some of y'all probably, it's self-explanatory and you go, why did I do that? But I've seen it happen before, is that you'll try to sand both sides. Have one side square and stick with it, and just sand the other side. And you know, if you sand off too much, boom, you throw it to the side and come back. But I've seen people build before where they sand this side and that side, and they get it all lumberjawed and off, and then they have to toss it that way. Just work on adjusting one side. Anyway, we'll get this glued on. It's going to fit in here fine, and we'll get back to you. We'll flip it over on the top, and we'll start talking about the sheeting on the top of the wing. Well, we've got the bottom sheeting all completed. Well, it's not really completed. We've got to sand down the edge and things like that and get it all evened up, but we're not to that point yet. Everything went fine. Everything went together fine. There's not much of a curve there, so it didn't take a whole lot of work to bend it. I didn't have to soak it with Windex or something like that to get it to work out. I want to apologize for all the background noise that you guys are probably picking up. Hopefully you're not picking up all of it. It's after 5 o'clock here. It's a beautiful day again. We're having low 80s as highs in East Texas, which this time of year, usually with the feels like we're at 105, 106. 50 to 60% humidity. Generally pretty miserable. Man, I can be out in my garage right now. I don't even have a fan on. Anyway, I think Chris is getting back to work on his cloud dancer, so any gains that I made catching up with him as fast as he works is probably going to get mowed down pretty quickly. So we're at a point to where normally we would just go ahead and work on the top sheeting and get it complete. But since we're not doing the one servo for both ailerons, we're going to do dedicated servo for each aileron. We've got to think how that mounting is going to work out. I bought a couple of servo mounts and doors from laser cut kits. Man, I tell you what, the more I look at this laser cut stuff and what you can do with them and how you could spit out little parts and things like that, it's hard not to want to purchase one. I would be lying if I said that I hadn't been looking on Marketplace and stuff like that kind of used around here. Anyway, we need to think about installing our servos, and I say that because once we sheet in the top, I'm not going to have access to this, and we need our extensions either have a string in here that we can tape off so later we can open this up and get to it, or just go ahead and install the extension and have it taped in here and ready for going ahead and joining the wings and fiberglassing the center section. So what I'm thinking about now is our servos and how they're going to fit in the wing. This is the bottom of the wing again. I'm going to put it out here in this third bay. These ailerons kind of taper in and get smaller as they go up the wing. I mean, I could do a flat aileron all the way across and not have any taper in it, but that's not how it was designed, so that's not how I'm going to build it. But it wasn't designed for servos in the wings either. I bought a couple of door kits, one of them from National Balsa. It's nice, but it's huge. It's not going to fit in here without it's not going to fit in here without some modifications, because it comes with this top piece, and then it comes with a bracket for that to fit down into. And it's nice. I may use it, or I might send it to Chris. It may work better than his cloud dancer. I don't know how wide his bays are, but mine are just too small for this one. The one that I like better is from a company called ICBIM. I believe I found these guys from David Stuff's one of his videos. I think he buys gaskets or something from this guy, but this guy also does some laser cut parts. And basically what you get is the hatch cover, which it's still a little bit large, but I can sand down these sides and think I can make it work. And then it comes with some pieces parts for the inside. And what you end up with, I haven't glued this, I just stuck it together, is you wind up with this hatch with this servo box in it. And I mean, that servo box is going to be completely boxed in. This is nice plywood. I'm not worried about mounting a servo into it. This thing is really neat. I guarantee if I had a laser cutter, and I hate to tell this guy, but I would be seriously looking at maybe not outright copying it, but coming real dang close. This is, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but this is really nice. But anyway, this is going to fit in here. Once we sand down the sides, it's going to look like something like that. I'm going to have some hardwood, probably triangle stock, or maybe square stock, running along the inside of the ribs between the front and rear spar, and that's what's going to hold that in there. And the one thing that I do have to keep in mind is that I'm going to cover this, and even though I sand it to where it just fits in there, I need just a little bit more on each side, so that when it fits in there, and I cover it, it'll still fit in there. So anyway, I'm going to mess around with this, figure it out, and we're going to get this mounted in here and go on with doing the top sheeting. I'll see y'all guys later once I get this done and figured out, and I'll tell you what I did and show you how I did it. This went a lot easier than I thought it was going to go. Basically what I did, since the bottom of this wing is flat, I just laid it down on the building board, put this where I wanted it, and then just took those rails and tack glued them in. Oh, by the way, Chris, that's from some of the balsa you sent me. I did use balsa. It's really hard balsa. And when I drill my holes for my to hold this in there, I will chase them with CA so they're hardened. This thing isn't going anywhere. And it worked out perfect. With me moving this all the way up to the spar, my 3/32 sheeting fit in there just perfect. So I didn't have to like build a box down here. It's just 2 rails and a little piece of sheeting down here to tape my covering to. I think this is going to work out amazing. Oh, I've got it the wrong way from how I want it. There we go. That's better. So my servo hole is down here where the servo arm's going to come out, because it's going to mount in there horizontally instead of vertically. What I'll do is I'll just, once I get it, this isn't a now issue. This is after covering and everything's fitted up just fine, because I may have to sand this down a little bit more. We'll see how that goes. But I'll just trace around this hole, and then I'll take my Dremel with a drum sander and just like carve that part of the rail out. And that's how our servos are going to go in. I really can't say enough about these ICBIM laser cut servo hatches. I really like them, and I can see myself using these over and over again, even if I have to cut my own, because I will do some smaller airplanes that will require smaller hatches. If I go with the smaller airplanes, I'm not as worried about running 2 ailerons off a single servo. And really on this, I mean, we flew for decades with one servo controlling both ailerons. It's just this system is a lot stronger, it's cleaner, and I just have more faith in it. One of the things, if you have a plane that lasts a long time, you can wind up getting a lot of slop in those brackets and piano wire that you use to do your ailerons, just them wearing into the woods or loosening up and stuff like that. There's just there's a lot of things I don't like about that way. Some people also would take flexible control rods and run them out from the middle through the inside of the wing and bend them around. I actually did that. I had a Balsa USA. Oh, they have like a basic trainer. It comes with an aileron version, and I did that. Heck, some even had bell cranks down here in the wings and rods that ran through the wings. Every time you introduce something mechanical, you're always going to deal with some slop and over time wear. Something like this, I'm not worried about that. And if I do get slop in my control horns or anything like that, I can just, they're right here, they're on the outside. I can take them off, put new stuff in, and boom, I'm tight again. Anyway, we've done that. We're going to go back and do the other wing, and then we're going to do the top sheeting. Nope, we're going to do the other wing. We're going to get our servo out and look at how our extension wire and our servo wire is going to run, and then we'll do the top sheeting. Anyway, till I get back to that, y'all just sit tight and we'll continue on a little bit. So I've got my hatch rails in here. I've just got this is a used high-tech 425 BB that I'll wind up using for the throttle probably, but it serves a purpose now that I can see that its wiring is going to stretch through most of the wing, and even though I could probably use a shorter extension, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in here. I'll tape down both the ends to the sheeting and inside the ribs so I can get to them and go ahead and pull them through after we get it covered. I'm going to be running a 4.8 volt system and using nickel metal hydride batteries. There's no reason for 6 volt and digital and all that stuff for this plane. I know those are the way everybody's going now, but for this particular plane, and analog is going to work just fine. I had a plane that was very similar to this, Goldberg Tiger 60, and it had standard servos in it. At least I'm using upgraded servos on this one. When this plane came out, this servo would have been considered top of the line. Matter of fact, this servo probably didn't even exist then. Anyway, I know what I'm going to do with this. I know how the servos are going to fit in here. Got that all taken care of. Now it's just a matter of sheeting in all these spaces and getting ready to do the wingtips. So I'm going to go ahead and take my sheeting. I'm going to take this in, like I said. I'm going to finish sheeting the top of this. We'll go ahead and clean up the wingtip part of the wings and get ready to put the wingtips on. Well, as you can see, we've got all of our sheeting done. Wasn't that big a process. I did leave an overhanging sheeting on the outside. Got my extensions in, and I did go ahead and clean up the ends. I don't really think any of y'all wanted to see me do a bunch of sanding. If I had only one tip about doing these, it would be to do it in small sections. That way, don't do the whole thing, because some of these are going to sand quicker than others, and you'll wind up getting dips and things like that, or can wind up messing up what you're trying to keep straight. Do it in little sections, get those down even, get everything even, and then just sand the whole thing off with just a little bit. You don't have to sand on it big time. Next thing we're going to be doing is on the tips, we're going to be putting on the wing tips, and those are going to go on here to where the end of this is even with your trailing edge. So it's not going to be exactly up to the very front of your leading edge. That's your leading edge is going to be rounded off into it. The only thing that's an issue with this is that there has to be some triangle webbing put in here, and with the short kit we didn't get that triangle webbing, so I'm gonna have to make that triangle webbing myself. Just going to take a pencil and draw a center line from the tip of this to the center of my trailing edge, and what I'll do is I'll get my square and put this up there on that line and make sure everything's all square and it's centered, and I'm just going to tack this on probably with some thick CA and hit it with some accelerator just to have it tacked in place, but still can be moved a little bit. And then I'm going to glue on those triangles, and then I'll come back and I'll just glue the rest of this plywood piece in right there and do the wingtips. So we got the wingtips done. Added our balsa blocks to the end so we can shave that down with the trailing edge and the leading edge. We had to cut 6 triangles aside to do this. That was really a pain in the butt, and of course I said again how much I wish I had a laser, and I just got tired of saying it, so I've ordered a laser. It's just a atom stack 12 watt laser. I don't expect to be doing a lot of stuff with it, but you know, maybe I can do some stuff for myself, help out people like Chris or whoever's out there making little parts like this, so you guys don't have to, and I don't have to anymore. We are getting just about to the point where we're ready to join the wings. But first, there's going to be some 1/4-inch hardwood pieces that we've got to put back here on the back of the trailing edge. They were going to be for torque rods to go out to the elevator, They were going to be for torque rods going out to the ailerons, but since we're going to do our ailerons in the wing and not just doing a single servo moving both ailerons, that wood still has to be there just so it fits the fuselage right. So I'm just going to glue some 1/4 inch wood back there and call it a day, and then move on from there to getting this thing ready to join. So for this trailing edge piece where the torque rods were going to go, or would have gone if I was using torque rods on this model, it called for a piece of hardwood. I went ahead and just went with balsa back here. This is all going to be fiberglassed. Maybe it'll save 1/2 ounce, maybe. I don't know, 1/4 ounce. But I'm going to use balsa back here, and that's where we're going to just kind of end this week. You know, me and Chris are kind of trying to stay on schedule with each other, and he's had some issues this week, and I had issues the week before, so he kind of got ahead of me, and now I'm kind of ahead of him. So I've got another project to work on, and when he gets caught up just a little bit, the next video for this plane will be joining the wings and fiberglassing them, and then we'll be ready to move on to the fuse. So everybody out there, have a great week. Have a blessed week. If you're a man over 40, please go and have your PSA checked at your next doctor's appointment, which I know you have scheduled already, right? Anyway, y'all take care and have a good one.